We were outside. I was on the phone with my mother, and my wife was outside with me. And I just step out because I'm always looking. And I step out. I'm on the phone, and I look up, and I see you see a couple things moving, but it's like could be whatever because they're out of the atmosphere most of the time. And I look up, and I see one, but it's zigzagging. Oh, cool. And then another one follows it. I said, well, that's two, and I'm like, oh, that's a highway because you've been in these places where they just all start coming out, and there was two. And then I saw a third one go a different direction out of the same spot. And I called my wife, come here, hurry. There's three of them right now. Come here. And we look up and literally I'm on the phone with my mom telling her, my wife's looking, she's never really had that kind of encounter. I've never seen that. But it was, you couldn't see
where, yeah.
It was a space in the sky and we counted 17 that came out in 2 minutes. But they came out and they like flared and went out, and they were going, most of them in the same, but some of them would go in different directions out of this little hole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I couldn't see if it was a mothership cloaked. I don't know if it was a portal, but I'm like,
yeah,
this is happening.
Exactly. And so this one was interesting. They didn't go out this way. Some of them seemed to be stationary, but then some of them would pop out. Like people will see that in the film. They would just, even after it closed, that they would like just pop out. Like, so there's one very obvious one, but if you look carefully on the film, there's like two other ones. They just come out like this. And so that's kind of what we were able to capture. So yeah, so going back to how do we know, can we say it's a wormhole, so checking with, we know it's reflective objects because we got radar data. Radar picks up on objects. It doesn't pick up on clouds, or it doesn't pick up on radiation, because we thought maybe it's some sort of radiation, because there's like 50 of them.
All this and more coming up on this episode of the Truth Seeker Podcast. Really quick, before we get started, if you are blessed by this ministry, if you're blessed by this platform, anything that I bring to the table, I ask you to partner with me via Patreon. Go to patreon.com/truthseeker and you unlock rewards, my entire discography of music, webinars, meditations, weekly hangouts, and so much more. Patreon.com/truthseeker. Go check it out.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Truth Seeker Podcast. I'm your host, Truth Seeker, excited and delighted to be with you guys today. My guest is Cory. Caroline, welcome to the Truth Seeker Podcast, friend. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And I've been listening to some of your interviews, and so you're like me and many of our listening audience, very eclectic. It's not just one thing. It's not just UFOs, ETs, and that's it. There's like the spiritual side and the spiritual connection to this phenomenon as well. So that's what I really like that you bring to the table, the connection there, and what comes first for many different people. And your story is amazing, and I want to dive into it, pick your brain, ask you some questions, and hear about what you've been working on, because you've been hard at work at some really beautiful projects that we're here to talk about. So for people who don't know who you are, this is their first time seeing you, hearing you, go ahead and let people know who you are, what you bring to the table, that kind of thing. We'll start there.
Yeah, so I actually started out at a very young age. At the age of 5, I started to have experiences. And the first very powerful experience was I was just there. I remember it was Christmas Eve, interestingly enough. And all of a sudden, I see these beings of light. It was a huge amount of light. And I realized that we were communicating, obviously telepathically. And I remember feeling that was home. That felt very comfortable, very loving, very safe. And so I kept the conversation, the communication, and they told me that we're always connected. We will always be in communication, and it's kind of like we're the same lineage. It's as if I was here on this side of the veil in human form, and they were kind of like the rest of me, like the stream of consciousness, that continues on to the divine, the spiritual realm. And that felt very normal, very safe, very comfortable. And so they said, everyone's like this. So if you want to continue this sort of connection with your spirituality, with your consciousness, your divine lineage, if you will, then you have to ask, And so, I'm 5 years old, right? So they said, notice what your brain is doing right now so you can do it again. So I'm concentrating and thinking, I want this, I want it, And so basically that was the experience. So what happened after that, I started to think, first of all, I didn't think I was special or anything was special. I thought, oh, everybody does that, But later I was like, no, wait, how did that work? How was it possible that I could see, hear, sense these beings and nobody did? And so that got me into the field of consciousness. I realized it was the mechanics of consciousness, where all consciousness is entangled, that allowed that sort of connection and communication. And the idea is to know how to master it. So what to connect with, what not to connect with, and how to maintain the larger aspect of your being and filter it through your human aspect, if that makes sense. So 20 years later, in the field of consciousness, I started teaching meditation, consciousness expansion, energy medicine, because see, that's what you just said earlier. I'm eclectic. What happened is that once you understand the mechanics of consciousness, it applies to everything. It applies to who you are, understanding who you are. It applies to communication with other realms. It applies to the fabric of space-time. It applies to how do UFOs appear, disappear. Does that make sense? And so that's why, because consciousness is fundamental to all of life aspects. So that's how it kind of evolved for me throughout the years, and working with hundreds of people around the world. I started working with scientists and get validation on everything that I was doing or teaching. You focus on this, you heal that. You do, you communicate this way, this happens. And then I was like, wait, this is real. We have to be making films about it. And that's how it evolved into filmmaking.
That's so awesome. Very similar story. Like I was 4 or 5 years old when I had my first experience like that. And it seemed like a one and done kind of thing, but it changed me, and mine was scary. Not necessarily that it was bad. I don't know that. As a adolescence, we equate scary with bad, but now if a ship comes down and powers up in front of us and beings get out, even though there's this awe and wonder, there's still this fear of like, you're in the presence of something like divine and holy and that kind of thing. So I had that experience that birthed something in me of what movies I watched. We went to, rent a VHS as children and teenagers. I'm getting this stuff about UFOs and about aliens, and I'm watching those movies and documentaries. They want to watch a movie. I'm getting a UFO documentary at like 10 years old, because all stemming back from that encounter that birthed something within me. So I didn't feel like I was being taught directly as like I consciously knew, but obviously we are, right? There's a shifting, there's a guiding, there's moving, and as we become more conscious, then synchronicities kick in, and now we know, okay, there they were. The idea is they've been here the whole time, leading us and actually guiding us on our life's path. So I wasn't conscious of it. You, when you had this encounter at 5, and you're just in awe and wonder and this beauty, did it continue? Did they continue to show up? Did you see them in the sky? Would they visit at night or teach in the dream? Or did it continue in that same format for you?
It was kind of on and off. And so at the age of 5, that was the most significant one.
Mhm.
But kind of like you, it felt like a one-off because it was like, oh, whatever. Like it's weird because it kind of felt normal, and or maybe I didn't want to think of anything special, like not to kind of scare myself, like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I did something,
Yeah.
amazing or weird or whatever. So it was more on and off, but it's kind of like, I could feel them always there. And they told me since that time, like, we were going to be connected the rest of your life. And everybody's like that. That's what I learned, is that we all continue that communicate, that connection is never severed. We just don't know how to maintain it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then other kind of very obvious experiences would happen. Like, I remember at the age of 10, I was in school. I was in Catholic school at the time, and I remember the teacher. I was in catechism class. It's
Mm-hmm.
like at the age of 10, and so I heard the teacher say, humans are something like, I don't remember the exact word, but something like, humans aren't divine. They can never know God, and they can never reach God. And I remember being so angry.
Mm.
So I got up and I said, can I go out? Can I leave? And she let me go out. And I remember leaving the room and I started crying, and I was so upset because I knew, because I felt bad for the children, because this teacher was teaching them that they could never become divine, be divine, have a direct connection with their divine self or their spirituality. So I was so angry, and I kept saying, please don't let her do this to the children. And so I'm 10 years old, so I would have these reactions and these communications with my with those beings in this way, if you will. And I remember them showing up and kind of making me feel like there's free will, and like you have to let go and stuff. And so I would have strange experiences like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was, again, it seemed like to be a one-off. And then again at the age of 14, I remember I was in the bedroom, and I remember looking inside the closet. I mean, the closet was closed. And then I said, I wonder if I can see through the wall, like through the door. And so I didn't know what was in that closet. And I saw one dress or something, I don't remember, like a piece of fabric, and it was ripped in a very strange way, like exactly in, anyway. And so I said, that's weird. I wonder if that's true. So I opened the closet and I see that exactly what I had seen before. So my reaction, so the beings again were there, and then they said, I kind of, it was an experience, it was kind of like a realization that, oh, everybody has psychic powers. Like, this is where at this age you start to actually use these powers. It was those types of interesting experiences where they would go off and come back, and I would have these kind of revelations and kind of knowledge and things that would just happen spontaneously that way. Do you relate to that?
Oh yeah. Sure. I mean,
I
all of it. So because I relate to it, our stories are very similar, but like you said, I'm not special. It's not just me and you, right? We have this connection. There's
yes,
many people listening who have had this same connection, and maybe they don't know it until they hear us vocalize it, or they see your documentary, they see your movie, they see what you've put together, and it makes sense. Like, oh my goodness, those thoughts that I had laying in bed, hearing a voice speak to me like a friend or an imaginary friend or whatever it is, that stuff's kind of slippery. It when we were children, but even now, to act like we know exactly all of it, a lot of it is slippery. So it takes like practice. It takes you laying in bed having the thought and then getting up and say, let me go check. Let me go check. Like how many people lay in bed and have that thought and they just roll over and they don't go check. So the
right.
fact that you got up and checked, like, oh, this is like an initiation. Okay, this person is ready. They want to be used. They do have a mind and a heart that is open to explore the things that we were told were fake. You said that the Catholic sister or the teacher told you, listen, this is not real. We are animals. We are only this, and you'll always be that, and it's only grace that you need. Those kind of things, and it really takes your divinity away. Which
Yeah.
I'm a student of the Bible, and it's steadily evolving. And all of these experiences that you're talking about, that we're talking about right now, they're in the Bible, and in a good way. And the more experience, the more they teach me. They're like showing me all of this in the Bible, and it's been there the whole time. But it wasn't until you have the grid and have the experience to be like, oh wow, they woke me up in the middle of the night and taught me. And we read it in the book of Samuel, where Samuel the prophet or Samuel the seer was waking up in the middle of the night, hearing somebody or something call his name. And he goes to his teacher. Hey, are you calling me? In the middle of three in the morning. Are you calling me? No, no, go back to sleep. Okay, I thought I heard you calling me. He goes in his bed, he goes to sleep, and he hears somebody call his name again. He goes in and talks to Eli. Are you calling me? No, it's not me. Go back to sleep. Well, wait. The next time you hear it, say, okay, Lord, your servant is listening. I'm here. Speak to me. Show me what you want to tell me. Because maybe it's God. Maybe it is the beings that are the angels that are on God's side, that are his messengers. And that's what happened. He inquired. He woke up. He heard it again. He inquired, and he was taught. They begin to teach him. They begin to train him. And this is very similar to your story. I know my story and so many people listening. It's so beautiful that we have grids and references all throughout antiquity. This isn't a new phenomena that's happening.
Right, exactly. But I do have to say, so then there was a period where for a year and a half, it was some sort of initiation or something, because it was every single day, 24/7,
Mm.
where things were happening. It was very weird. I would meet someone and I knew exactly what they were going to tell me. I knew what was wrong with them, what was going to happen the next day, what happened to their mother yesterday. I mean, like everything. And it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was very, very strange. And so since that time, it opened me up. I'm kind of fast forwarding. It was kind of a rough time, because it's almost like my whole human consciousness calibrated with this larger aspect of my being, and to kind of balance the two was very difficult, because I was kind of in between two worlds. And so I think what happens for most people is, well, first of all, as kids, when you start to have an experience, you talk about it and your parents or your friends are like, oh, you're crazy, there's
Yeah.
nobody there, stop talking to invisible people or whatever. Or also, even though something you said earlier, the beings may be benevolent because it's light. I mean, it was like a huge amount of unconditional love. It wasn't scary at all. But when you process it through the human mind, you start to think, what just happened? Did I open up to something strange that's not human? And then the fear kicks in. So So fear is usually associated with anything that's not physical, that's not material. And so because of that, we kind of close ourselves to these types of experiences. There's that problem. And another problem, I learned the hard way, because I can see the subtle energy, like I can see the beings. It's not like sometimes I can feel them, but I can always feel them, but I can see them. I can see what they look like and everything. And so I have to say that sometimes when I'm working with somebody and helping them, I also see the dark,
Mm-hmm.
because you see, I didn't think they existed. I I kept feeling, because my first experience was amazing. It was just like light and
Yeah.
beauty and love. And sometimes I'd be like, what did I just see? Some entity latching on to this person, creating the illness they're talking about. I could literally see what the being was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem becomes, and I think people know that subconsciously, once you see, you cannot unsee. So you see everything, the
Yeah.
good, bad, and everything in between. And as much as I wanted to deny or not accept
Mm-hmm.
that there could be darkness, I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the problem. People are scared to potentially see the truth. And so because of that also, they stop themselves from opening up to the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that I had to have these experiences to learn discernment and to teach discernment. That how do you know you're tapping into the right energy? How do you know? I was lucky, I still am, to see the energy, but most people don't. So
Mm-hmm.
they're just going by what they're feeling. And so a lot of times you could be tricked.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, I think, the problem is we're not trained to discern, how do I position my energy? What do I open up to? And how do I keep my energy aligned with the experience that I want to have
Yeah.
and manifest? Do you
Mm-hmm.
agree?
For sure. Yeah. My very similar to where you were in this in between worlds as a teenager, as 15, 14, 15, 16, this fascination of knowing that something's real. Something is there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I was fascinated with the dark stuff as a teenager, and the occult and that kind of thing, and ended up getting into that kind of stuff, and eventually became a Christian, and experienced beauty, like the energy, like for sure, like peace and love and forgiveness, and I was forgiven and cleansed, and that encounter was heavenly. It changed my life forever. I was 13 when that happened, and but then that only lasted for a couple months, and I got back into the dark
Mm,
stuff.
okay.
So I have this beautiful encounter, and then I rebel against the church, and I don't like your rules, and I'm still a teenager, but I
Yeah.
know that this stuff's real. I've had experiences, and so I'm still searching for spirituality, and searching for the divine, but begin to do it however I wanted to. And as a teenager, I'm already a misguided youth and learning. So I ended up meeting a warlock who was the real
Mm,
deal, who worked with these energies. I would say dark energies, because they were tricksters. They would play tricks on him, but he could do magic to make these beings appear, like literal. Like he could ask for them to show up and do a ritual, and literally these everyone could see it. Like he could do things where these beings would pop up as smoke and like go get
mm,
people, and he'd do it as magic tricks. So when I saw that, I was like, I want to do that. And
yeah.
the road that I was walking, that it wasn't conducive to be
Mm,
dealing with that kind. Like, how do you position your energy? Well,
mm,
there's a certain integrity that you gotta operate in. And I was a misguided teen, robbing, gang activity, stealing, lying to people, and I ended up getting what you'll call demonically possessed, because I would do these rituals and none of them would work until they all worked. So my really first experience with that kind of world was with dark entities.
Mm,
So if we all start off as on this plane that it's neutral, because I believe in ascension, that it goes up. It's a spiral, it's a ladder, but it also goes down. So I started off I had a little good experience, and then and then so now I'm
interesting.
here operating in synchronicities, in beings whispering in your ear, waking you up. But I was only privy to the beings that were on the level of vibration conducive with the life that I was living. And I almost went mad. As a teenager, I was 15 when it got really bad. And I had to, I barely made it out with my mind intact. And
Mm,
I had to call churches, and I needed help, and it was really bad. They would mess with me. I was going schizophrenic and that thing. So in 2000, this was when this happened. I got in the phone book and ended up calling churches and getting my life back together, asking for forgiveness again. I'm sorry for messing with these dark things, And so got into the church, did that for a long time, and then everything came full circle. Okay, here's the right way to do it.
mhm,
Here's the right
mm.
way to work with the being. Here's the right way to talk to angels, and because I begin to see it in the Bible. So that's what my story. But yeah, I started with the dark beings. And people, we got to know that. That's beautiful though, because now I have a contrast, like you. There's a
Exactly. Discern.
contrast. We can
Yeah.
judge it.
Yeah, I can. I mean, I can understand. I mean, yeah, it's amazing that you experienced the darkness like this for such a long time. Because when I saw them for the first time, the contrast was so great. It was like, whoa, this is just not me. Like I couldn't even go there, and it was scary.
Mhm.
Yeah, so but like you're saying, I think it's important to have that contrast to really know and make the choice. So for some reason, it was important for you to actually delve into that world and know it and experience it so that you come full circle,
Mhm.
and maybe it is for you to help others to not even go there,
Oh yeah.
that's the idea.
Yeah.
For me, just by looking at it and feeling it, it was good enough. But maybe for you, because you're helping other people who go through that, I want to call it temptation, because um, some people say, well, there's no such thing as evil or darkness. Well, I don't agree, because and that's it's only a choice, or it's all part of experiencing. Well, I don't really agree, because those principles go against, the fabric of life itself.
Yeah.
Life is meant to thrive and evolve, and these types of experiences are self-destructive. They're telling you to do things to self-destruct. So it's the exact opposite, and that's the reason why you think you go crazy and you're stuck and you don't evolve and you get sick,
Yeah.
so on and so forth, because it's a cycle of self-destruction. That's all. So you're not congruent, you're not coherent with the life force of the universe. The universe wants to continue expanding and
Mhm.
allowing and growing. So yeah,
Well,
so that's
let me ask you this. So now we're talking about the dark entities and the light entities, and there's the spectrum of beings, right, that exist in the universe. For us just to say that they're angels and demons, that's silly, right? Because if we know that
yeah,
there's contrast, there's so many beings that even as humans are neutral, you've got beings that are just neutral. They don't care. They're not programmed to do good, evil. They're just there. They have a job, right? Um, but when it comes to now, these are entities that are whatever religious idea of lore, of disembodied spirits, of echoes from eternity, of the world that was here before, whatever. It's so many possibilities. But to be specific with you, the beings that we will call ETs, aliens,
yeah.
UFOs, what people call that. Do you think that there are evil aliens traveling in space and coming to Earth and messing with people in the same way that there are good beings that are in the cosmos coming here? Or are the bad fallen beings stuck in our heavens around here? What do you think about the evil alien agenda?
Yeah. Evil alien. It's so funny. Yeah. So again, so my experiences were with these beings of light, but then eventually I started connecting and meeting all kinds of ETs. So like I said, I'm talking over 20 years and really going through this all these experiences and researching, and I ended up kind of also remembering a huge amount and different types of beings that a lot of people don't even talk about. So I have a book called The Divine Plan. And I kind of talk about all the different types of beings that are in the universe. And so because we usually, like you're saying, just angels and demons, I mean, that's too simplistic. So I realize and I understand that there are the beings kind of that humans belong to are what we call evolutionary type being, meaning they're material. We have a material form, but we need to incarnate in a human form in order to evolve. So if you have an extraterrestrial from the Pleiades, he's also an evolutionary type being. He just happens to be born in a Pleiadian body on the Pleiades or Arcturus or Sirius B or whatever. So it's a type of being, material beings, even the reptilians or whatever, like all these ETs that
Physical.
We encounter are physical, exactly. Then there are the angelic form, the archangel and things like that. These beings don't incarnate. They don't have to incarnate. In some weird case, they could, but normally they don't. They evolve differently because their purpose, like you're saying, their work is different, is not to go in the physical form, but to assist the physical form, but from another dimension. There are other beings that are called star beings. There are beings that are called galactic light beings. There are beings that are called, I mean, different categories. There's the Melchizedeks, there's the life architects, the universal messengers, the divine sons, the gravity controllers. There's all kinds of different beings that a lot of people don't talk about because we either talk about ETs or angels. Mm-hmm. Like we don't know the rest. So for people who are interested, I highly recommend they look into that, the breakdown, if you will, because there are beings that are very large in consciousness. And they're so large that they don't incarnate. These are the beings that I encounter at the age of 5, by the way. So they're universal beings, meaning their consciousness is so massive. They, even if they wanted to, they couldn't incarnate, So they're working on so many different levels, on a whole different level. These are the beings that move and recalibrate an entire solar system, an entire galactic system, moving and shifting things around energetically. These are the beings that can come in, for example, on the Earth plane and change the entire magnetic field in the blink of an eye. These are so they move energy and calibrate mind energy, for example, spiritual, on a galactic and universal scale. So the reason why it's important to open up to those types of beings is because, first of all, your understanding of how you fit in the universe, it goes beyond the ETs. It's like you start, wait a minute, this universe and multiverse is so much more. And who am I as in this human body? How do I fit? Do I belong? Am I the fabric of the offspring of some ET from some planet? Or is it bigger? Or is it something different, something from further away in the universe? See, that's why I'm introducing this concept. So to answer your question, going back to the evolutionary material beings, there's a little bit of everything. I've encountered mostly benevolent beings, Pleiadians, Arcturians, Series B, I love Series B. They look amazing, they feel amazing, but they all perform a different task. They have a different purpose. Most of them are benevolent, but I have to say, I also worked with beings through, because I do a regression therapy, and I see, as I work with somebody, like I see some extraterrestrial entities that are manipulating their genetic code and doing things. So all of this is real. So all this to say, there are different agendas. But in general, I think it's a benevolent agenda, because if it was, I mean, we already can see the repercussions of the manipulation. I mean, look at us. Look at this planet. It's based on greed, separation, confusion. Humans don't know who they are. They don't know why they're here. They don't know what their purpose is. They don't know how reality works. They don't know, and so because of that, because of this manipulation from some of these extraterrestrial, changing the DNA and the mechanics of the physical brain, it gives you the illusion, the impression that you're separate.
Yeah.
If you're separate, then I have to be better than you in order to succeed. But if I'm the same, if you and I are the same, then you succeed, I succeed. If I succeed, you succeed. It's a whole different. So the separation in the brain came from the manipulation 200,000 years ago by and from a certain race of extraterrestrial, unfortunately. And so we're still living today's society in this, the implications and, the results of that interference. However, the benevolent extraterrestrial and all of the other beings I just mentioned are helping evolve and improve and expand and get out of this separation into the alignment back with source. And when I say source, it's the universal blueprint, which is thriving, oneness, unconditional love,
life, movement, energy, kingdom is alive.
Yes, exactly.
As one. Right. Everything. So with that, everything works together, right? So there are no mistakes. Exactly. Even if it's something you would think was a mistake, it's somehow used to help you. If you look at it that way, if you speak to it that way, that's how I look at those dark beings that I made allegiance with and almost killed me. Like a lot of people die in that. Like a lot of people don't make it out of what I went through. So I'm so grateful and thankful that I did. And I was scared early, it's like, oh, stay away. They're coming to get me again, these kind of things. But now it's like, I can look at them and say, hey, thank you, man. Thank you for what you imparted to me, because you were created to do that. And without you, there would be no contrast. There would only be light and love. Until you know that, hey, there exist realms and beings that are here to correct you. And it's a hard correction. And so everything comes full circle. So now I'm thankful that I went through that, when it used to be almost like a curse. I can't believe I went through that. Why did I have to go through that such a hard time? But to know where I am now and my purpose, that I know they had to teach me. So essentially with the terminology in angel just means messenger. We know that. It's a being that carries a message. All beings carry a message. I have a message. You're here to share your message. And these angels have their very fabric of their existence is their message. When you stand next to them, you can't but telepathically download who and what they are. And so when we raise our frequency and vibration, a stranger can come stand next to you and what their message is, right? So there's this beauty in this encoding of you carry a message. There's a resonance that people and all beings have. So beautiful that we're journeying through all of this and things become what we call them, so that was a a scary, demonic encounter for me, but now it's not. Because why? Because I say it's not. Now it's beautiful. Now I'm thankful to the creator, the consciousness, to the angels that assisted me and protected me and said, hope he gets through this one. Because if he makes it, like there's going to be gratitude. There's going to be a compassion to people who are still in that, to go back and get those people out and just to show them, hey, you can do it. Like it's available. So man, duality exists, but in the oneness of it all. And it's so beautiful when we can come to that and know that everything happens and exists for a reason. So we're talking about physical beings. We're talking about beings that communicate telepathically. And like you said, the majority of people have never seen this stuff. They're still experiencing it though. They're having dreams, they're hearing voices, they're seeing shadows, right? But they never, I say seeing shadow, that's kind of seeing something, but they've never seen something physical appear. Like as a kid, I seen a shadow, shadows were on top of me. Lights were dancing in front of you, and it continued to happen. A lot of people have never seen that. There's a difference with what's going on in the imagination through regression or through deep meditation to connect with an angel through the imagination, which is real. But there's a difference when you connect in the imagination and then it shows up. Oh, wow, that's who I've been talking to. And he's showing me he's here. There's a silhouette that's glowing in my doorway. This is what we're talking about. And the CE5 type of initiatives, which you've been a part of, and I want to hear your stories on that, where we can go out and so many different protocols, but very simply go out and ask as like a kid, hey, are you out there? And wait and connect and wait. And if you want it bad enough and you keep going, you keep waiting, I believe anybody can see it if you want it bad enough. It happened to me. Started seeing them. Stars moving, stars traveling and stopping, stars unfolding, and little stars coming out of a star, like wild stuff that wrecked my life. It was amazing. For you, your encounters with CE5 and seeing these lights in the sky and moving and stuff like that, what was your first experiences with that as an adult? You know, as a person that knows that it's not just imagination, it's not just lights, that it's something that is happening above our heads at all the, like right now, like it's always there. And you can, if you slow down enough, you can see it.
Yeah, so in terms of UFO sightings, because the beings, that's been throughout my life, but the actual UFO craft, that was a little bit throughout my life, but I didn't really pay that much attention to it until more recently. So I've had several very strange experiences. I would also go out with groups and see things. So I knew they were real. And because I already had the telepathic contact with beings, I kind of could tell, okay, there's intelligence behind this, or there's no. Sometimes it's actually our technology, believe it or not.
A satellite.
Or something. Yeah, because people aren't trained to recognize. But for example, recently, it was right above my house, actually, right here. I just felt it was nighttime and I felt, oh, I should go outside. So I go outside and I see these 3 lights, right? And they're bouncing off of each other like this. So, and they were pretty low. So I was like, what's going on here? What is that? So I started to kind of tune in, like, is this intelligence, or did I just make this up? Or, because that's the first reaction. And then the more I'm concentrating on them, I said, well, if you can hear me or something, then let me know. And all of a sudden, from 3 spheres, they kind of split into 4, then they split into 6, and it split into 8. So I was like, okay, so therefore you can hear me. Let's try again. So I started walking, like half a mile in one direction outside my house. And I said, if you can hear me or whatever, then tell me. And they're literally like hovering right above me, as I'm walking half a mile in one direction. Then I change direction and I walk this way, and they're literally like hovering right above me. So I knew.
So you said they're hovering right above you. Like how many feet? You're not talking about in the stars. You're talking about down low.
No, yeah, it's pretty low. I mean, well, not like right here, but
Yeah.
like I want to say maybe like 100, like pretty low. Like I don't know, maybe a couple hundred feet. Like
Yeah.
I mean, like that's pretty low,
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I could clearly see them. It wasn't like very, very far away.
Mhm.
That's why this experience was so like, wow, Anyway, so they're like following me, right? And then I see this neighbor, like she's walking her dog. And I said, hey, do you see these lights right above us? It's like, and then she looks up and she says, oh yeah, that's interesting. And then she goes about walking her dog like nothing. And I'm like, but hello,
Yeah.
what do you think they are? And she's like, oh, it's I don't know. And she like keeps going like nothing happened. And I'm like totally blown away. But this is just to tell you how, if you're not open, if you're not curious, if you're not wanting to know,
Mhm.
you just go about your life. And I'm having this crazy experience, with these beings. And so it's just interesting, so because of that, I know this phenomenon is real. I
Yeah.
mean, but it's not one thing. Some of it is US technology, Black projects, some of it is not. And so going back to my latest project, which is A Tear in the Sky, it's this film that I just produced. So what I wanted to do is bring validation to this whole phenomenon. So I set up a scientific investigation and not studying UFOs of things that happen already in real time. How do we do it? So we set up this crazy amount of equipment in 3 locations and attempted to capture UFOs in real time from different angles across the spectrum of physics. We're talking cameras, night vision, FLIR cameras. FLIRs are military grade, infrared, spectrum analyzers, RF detectors. I mean, the whole, people will see it in the trailer. And we it was crazy. What are the odds? But in 5 days, we were able to capture the exact same, those Tic Tacs videos, UFOs that the Navy had caught that made the internet, that were everywhere. We were able to capture objects that would appear out of nowhere, rotate, disappear, register cold. If they're cold, then what's the propulsion system they have? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Things literally raining down, falling down. And then at the end, this sort of strange anomaly that looks like a tear. It's an opening and closing in the sky. So I went in hoping for one thing. I was like talking to my guys. I was like, just show me one thing, just like one compelling, really strong thing on camera so that everybody could see, so that everybody can understand how this could be analyzed, scientifically proven. And we ended up with so much incredible footage and data. And so I am beyond thrilled, especially the timing of this film. There was a congressional hearing recently. They're releasing all these reports and they're saying we don't have enough data. And I'm like,
and it won't look at the data.
Yeah.
The data. They won't look at the data.
Science? We go out and we do it right with the proper type of equipment, military grade stuff, very, very cool technology. And we capture a ton of stuff. And so don't tell me, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of data, so I'm very excited about that. But you saw the trailer.
I saw the trailer, and it says you've won a bunch of awards for it already, but the trailer looks amazing. Like the experts that you have on there, all of the people who have, this is the people you gotta talk to, the people who have given their life to the study of this stuff. You can't just talk to some passerby and UFOs are this. Hold on, you're just making that up. talk to this person who's literally spent over 20 years in investigating aerial phenomena, and this person who spent 20 years purifying and readying their mind to keep, not just make, but make and keep telepathic contact. And that's what you've done. There's so many experts and so many people that are part of that film. I did see the trailer, and I can't wait to watch it. And I went out and bought me a pair of night vision goggles as well a couple months ago. I've been in this for a long time, but I've never had a chance to use them. And I watched Gilliland at the ranch and Greer and these guys and stuff, and I've been in it for a long time, but I've never had the chance to go out and use them. But I knew that like I could go out and make contact without the military grade stuff, just like you. So what happens when we get our hands on some cool
Yes.
cameras and technology, which sounds like what you did, and you're like a kid in the candy store and catching all of this stuff? Is this like you talking about the tear? Is some kind of portal or something, right?
Yeah, so that was it. I just want to kind of remind those who are listening. The scientists in the film are hardcore scientists, which is a good thing because we didn't want them to be like this film. The fact that it's so scientific has never been done before. There's a lot of films, as you know, as you just said, on CE5 and this and that. But the scientific way has never been done. This is really a first. So we wanted hardcore scientists who are going to look at something and literally debunk themselves, make sure it's not this, it's not a satellite, it's not, because their reputation, they're concerned with, doing it according to the laws of physics and this and that. And that's exactly what we wanted. So my point being, when we discovered this opening and closing, they were like, come on, what did we just, and so we checked everything. Okay, so maybe it's a weather anomaly that we don't know. It's not it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's definitely not birds or bugs. I mean, it's literally an opening and closing, and reflective objects that pop out of it. Actual objects.
Now, how long do they stay reflective when they come out? Because I had an encounter 3 weeks ago with that. But how long? But we were outside. I was on the phone with my mother, and my wife was outside with me. And I just step out because I'm always looking. And I step out. I'm on the phone, and I look up, and you see a couple things moving, but it's like could be whatever because they're out of the atmosphere most of the time. And I look up, and I see one, but it's zigzagging. Oh, cool. And then another one follows it. I say, well, that's two, and I'm like, oh, that's a highway because you've been in these places where they just all start coming out, and there was two. And then I saw a third one go a different direction out of the same spot. And I called my wife, come here, hurry. There's three of them right now. Come here. And we look up, and literally I'm on the phone with my mom telling her, my wife's looking. She's never really had that kind of encounter. I've never seen that. But it was you couldn't see
where.
It was a space in the sky, and we counted 17 that came out in 2 minutes. But they came out, and they like flared and went out, and they were going, most of them in the same, but some of them would go in different directions out of this little hole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now I couldn't see if it was a mothership cloaked. I don't know if it was a portal, but I'm like, this is happening.
Exactly. And so this one was interesting. They didn't go out this way. Some of them seemed to be stationary, but then some of them would pop out. Like people will see that in the film. They would just, even after it closed, that they would like just pop out. Like, so there was one very obvious one, but if you look carefully on the film, there's like two other ones. They just come out like this. And so that's kind of what we were able to capture. So yeah, so going back to how do we know, can we say it's a wormhole, so checking with, we know it's reflective objects because we got radar data. Radar picks up on objects. It doesn't pick up on clouds, or it doesn't pick up on radiation, because we thought maybe it's some sort of radiation, because there's like 50 of them. I mean, we could see like 50, almost 50 of them. And so
this was only with equipment, or was this with naked eye also?
No, with the equipment. And so so then we thought maybe it's some sort, because it's like all these tiny dots. So we thought, well, maybe it's some sort of radiation, but that's odd because, well, first of all, radar doesn't pick up on radiation because the spot was, it was only in one spot in the sky. If it's radiation, then it would be everywhere. You see what I mean? So it's not radiation. Plus, we checked. We thought maybe it's some solar flare effect or some. Like what I'm trying to say is that we checked every
You
single.
try to debunk yourself, like you said.
Yeah, because that's how you get to a measurable scientific understanding, and we still don't know what it is. And we're talking to other scientists. Nobody's coming up with an explanation. Even if this turned out to be a weather anomaly, which a lot of people want it to be, but what is that? And don't forget, this is about 1,500 feet above our head. It's not out in the atmosphere, like out in space, because they do catch objects sometimes that appear, disappear, but that's like in the cosmos, very far away. If these objects were here, they would fall on the ground because of gravity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's still a total anomaly. It's a huge mystery. And we're still investigating, talking to many scientists. Nothing's checking out.
Wow. This is
So I personally think it is a tear in the fabric of space-time.
Yeah.
We still don't, we're trying to now, even though the film is over, but we're trying to understand and analyze how it works and what it is.
It is amazing. It's the stuff that movies are made of. Quite literally, you made a movie, but it really goes.
It's real.
It's ancient too. So this is again the whole idea with the whole government technology, and you guys are just seeing what the government's working on. My heart, I go back to antiquity. I love antiquity, and I'm reading passages in the Bible now, with going back to break down the Greek and the Hebrew and the original translations, and you're getting so much of this. And I know we have ancient aliens, we have the Bible stuff that and the chariots of fire and those things, but like more and more and more I'm reading these passages about guys going out in the desert and asking for something to happen, and they show up, and they're given many different names. And so that's ancient text, way before any of this technology that we were privy to by any means. I mean, cave paintings of this stuff. This is something that is very ancient, and like you said, where we came from. They are connected, whatever it is, to our consciousness and where we came from. Now, leave that up to exploration, and it's us from the future coming back to visit, or it's our ancestors or whatever. So much of that, and that's the beauty of trying to figure this stuff out. And I say that to say, you mentioned so many types of angelic types of beings that you can't see them because you're in one. There's one that's over your city. There's one that's over your state. There's one that the cosmos is in. So they appear so many different ways. A mist, so much. What's some of the other weird things you see? Because we see lights in the sky all the time. Now, what about some of the other ways that they've appeared? I've seen like something that looks like a balloon that was clear. I've seen things that look like a stingray in the air, but it was translucent and you can kind of see through it, and it was like in and out of. What are some of the wild stuff that you're like, hold on, I thought I was just looking at lights in the sky, and now these are like living entities and creatures that are showing themselves to me as they're doing whatever they're going about doing?
Yeah, there is a couple of a kind of amorphous kind of thing that also is in the film. People can check that out. But another very odd thing, it wasn't one of those, although I have seen them outside the film, but something that we did capture was those objects that were literally like raining down and dropping in the water. And at extraordinary speed. We're talking, 20,000 to 50,000 miles
Wow.
an hour, like, you know, like, and you could see if you look carefully on the film, you'll see they were, when they hit the water, they illuminate the water. And some of them actually, we saw them go up, go back out. So that's also very wild. So that's what I like about this film is that, you know, you see, you know, the typical orb, like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not orbs, but the round
Yeah.
things that zigzag and that we've seen before. But then you have these very strange anomalies that are definite anomalies. And by the way, the first thing we check is camera malfunction. You know, is the camera messing up or blah, blah, blah. You know, of course, we already checked all of that. And so that's why in this film, people will see stuff that's not seen before, including that tear. So that's what that was another very, very intriguing one, this raining down. And they happened to be, because we went off the coast of California in the Catalina area, and that's exactly where these tic tac objects were caught, you know, by the
Mm-hmm.
Navy, not just one ship, but multiple ships. So did we recapture the same one? And they were all saying, some of them were saying they're swarming, and others were saying they were raining down.
Mm.
So it's interesting. What is that? You know, so these are some of the very strange anomalies that we've captured and that I've seen. Now, these could not be seen with the naked eye because we captured them on the FLIR camera. The FLIR has 10 times more sensitivity than the average military grade goggle, night vision. So just to tell
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
the,
I heard
you
you in your
know,
other interview. Yeah. Well, I heard the price difference, and I was like, okay, yeah, I gotta check that
yeah,
out too.
yeah, it's like one camera is maybe $50,000, and we
Mm-hmm.
had like 8 of them because we wanted to cover the entire sky. So just for people to have a sense that we went out with like crazy equipment. And so, but the point being, in 5 days, we, with the proper equipment and the proper approach, as civilians, to capture so much and such unusual, such a range, tells us that they're here. Like there's so much stuff going on that we're not even paying attention to. I mean, that if the film did anything, is prove that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, something's happening that people don't know what it is, and then you get to say what it is. It was swamp gas. It was this. It was that. Okay, well, if it is, then that's what it becomes to you. But for those, you can't engage swamp gas telepathically.
No.
You can't ask swamp
Yeah.
gas to come back and see me tomorrow night if you're open to continue the conversation. You can't do that. And these are the type of things that you're getting. So what I like is that, there's a lot of scrutiny from people who are just like in the UAP field, and they just
Mm,
want to approach it scientifically, or from the military or whatever, and there's a rational mind, and it's good, like we need that. But there's also the other side, which I think I've been on for the longest, and it sounds like you're in that realm too. It's the spiritual side, our spiritual connection to these craft and to these beings, and who are they, and spirituality is connected to it. I'm learning to telepathically communicate. They're sending me messages every time they appear. They talk to me. They give me a download, that kind of information. And for so long, there's been like this war in between, and you guys are the crazies. You guys are the weirdos. But now
yeah.
you're seeing many of these scientists and many of these people want to now even come talk to people like you, and like, hold on, like, what's going on? Can you go out and ask for these to show up, and then know that there's a marriage between not just the analytical mind and the rational mind, but also in the heart knowledge. And when those two combined, you create anything you want with and we're creating love, we're creating peace, and that's what these beings are connected to, it seems like.
Yeah, again, the ufology world is wide. I mean, it's not one
Yeah.
phenomenon. That's the thing. There is actual human technology that's black ops, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like that we were not supposed to be talked about or whatever, and that's the cover up, this whole thing. And some of the triangular crafts that we
Yeah.
see, these are, to me, are most likely human made. But everything else, I mean, or a lot of everything that we see is non-human, I'm sure, because of that intelligence, because of that communication. Having said that, I feel that there's still this division, in the UFO community, like, those who believe about the communication and those who don't. And I was a bit stuck in the middle and with that film because I wanted to be who I am and believe in with that connection.
Mm-hmm.
But this film, that's not what the film was
Okay.
about. Because the CE5 approach has been shown and demonstrated in
Mm-hmm.
film before, but no one's done this type of film before. So I wanted to keep it very scientific, very measurable, and the folks in the film anyway, that was their angle. So they didn't even go to the idea, well, can we integrate like one scene where we're no, like there was no way. So don't forget, I funded this film. I produced this
Mm-hmm.
film, and so I was like, wait a minute, this is a scientific film. We're not going to do anything about connection or
Yeah.
communication. It's very scientific, but I believe in that. And so as we were getting closer, I was like, wait a minute, this is very expensive operation. You'll see the production is
Yeah.
very high, very, very high level production. We had like 10 cameras going at the same time, different location. I mean, the equipment, I mean, it was very, very costly. So the more we got closer, the more I was like, wait a minute, I need to make sure something was going to happen. So because that wasn't the angle of the people I was working with in the film, I was doing my own homework in my hotel room. I was like, okay, guys, like show up, like give me something, like one cool thing. And I knew it was going to be July 14th. So we set up the expedition from the 12th to the 16th. And sure enough, the first sighting was on the 14th. And then I kept doing my own kind of communication work and my connection. And I kept saying, okay, give me more, give me more. And we ended up having a huge amount of data that we collected that was extraordinary. So that's how I was able to kind of combine both worlds kind of in the behind the scenes way.
And this was in 2021. You said July
14
14th.
was the first one,
Okay.
the first sighting.
But you started.
The wormhole thing was July 15th.
So you did it 14th through the 16th? What was the date again?
12 to the 16th.
12. Okay. Great.
Why?
Great. Well, I'm just looking at the phases of the moon. I'm trying to study. We're talking about these portals and things. And I'm doing my own I'm a researcher. As we're talking, I'm putting two and two together to see what's, we talking about portals, like what was the phase of the moon. So I've been studying a lot of connection to that, to the ancient world, that different portals open up, that beings travel to do different things. So I was just curious.
So we picked the time where it was a new moon because you didn't want a full moon because of the light reflection. And so it was right after that.
I saw that. That's why I wanted to check. That's why I was checking.
Yeah. And you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
We actually have a full moon right now, and it's usually you don't want to do too much during the full moon. You can't really see. But it's gotta have its own significance as well, right? Like if there's these different portals and things that are opening up, which I believe, which I think those portals could be what you caught on camera. I saw them. Many people see some weird, strange things, but you caught it on camera. Man, I can't wait to watch the documentary. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I've watched the film. I've seen the trailer. Amazing. And when I got the email to have you on, and I was like, listen, I'll talk to anybody from this film. This is right up my alley as a researcher, as somebody we're looking for validation. Like you said, you made the film for your own validation, and now because that's the spirit and the heart that you created it in, it's going to be validation for other people who have never had a grid for any of this, but they've continued to have experiences, and that speaks volumes. So like kudos to you for putting the money up and and the ideas and the labor and the everything that you did to it. Thank you so much. I can't wait to tap in. I know it's going to help so many people.
Yeah, well, thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate it. And I really feel it's not just about UFOs. I mean, this film, again, has never been done this way before scientifically and proves so much. But the idea is, wait a minute, are we alone?
Yeah.
Who are we connected with? How does it work? How does the universe work? This is what it's about. And it brings it back to who you are and what you're doing here, what your purpose is. And that's what I'm interested in.
I can't wait to see it because, my mind works. Again, I'm an antiquity guy. Like, I'm a Bible dude to show people like, hey, this is in here. No, it's not. No, it's not. Hold on. And like, you're just talking about like the rain type of beings that are going. There's all these stories about when a judgment came upon a city, like these beings would come and it would be as hail or as rain. And if you read the names of it, it tells you like the names of the angels or whatever, like who and what they came to do. And we interpret it as it's just rain. It just rained on the city for a long time. No. These beings came here to pay a visit, hail, rain, fire. Come on, I can't wait to see this because we know it in our hearts, but to see it and which you've captured. I've never seen this before, so I can't wait to watch it. Where's the best place for somebody to watch it at? Is it to go to the website? Is it to rent it at a certain place? Where's the best place to watch the film for you?
Yeah, it's probably easier. Just go to the website, ethereindthesky.com, and they'll see all the platforms, or they can go directly to Amazon or iTunes. But ethereindthesky.com has like all the information about the film and the trailer and everything else.
Great. And the film is out. Make sure you guys go check it out. Caroline, thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking about this stuff and for you doing what you do. I'm just finding out about you through this film, and I'm glad that I have. I'm going to dig into your work and your books and what you're bringing to the table. Such an inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome to share this information with you. Appreciate it.
We'll have to do it again. Thank you. Wow. Caroline, Cory, man, make sure you guys go watch that film. Like the trailer, the website, like everything's top notch, top dollar. And the stuff she's talking about capturing on film, this is stuff you're reading about in the Bible. This is the stuff you've been reading about and didn't even know it. It's been there the whole time, and you've been told that this is fantasy, and that is true as far as like just a literal, like weird interpretation that they've shown you on their movies, because that's why these films need to be made. These images need to be made because what did they show you when you were in Sunday school? Images of what? Of what Moses looked like, of what the ark looked like, and it looks, listen, they tricked us of what Paul looked like in these interpretations and stuff. So being able to create an image, to create a film that adds you a little bit more context to the narrative. I'm, like I said, you guys who have been tapped in, like I've been talking about how as I'm reading more of the scriptures and stuff, like, and I'm getting more downloads and doing the research, not just downloads, but like really digging in. It looks like the Lord of the Rings. And you got all that magic, mystery, summoning beings, doing a spell and a ritual, and a being appearing in the sky, the stars moving, the Elijah going out and calling down fire from heaven, the young man in Elisha that was being tracked by the army, and he was scared, and he goes out and prays for him and lays hands on his eyes, and God open his eyes. He's like transferring that energy so that he can see. And then this dude sees these chariots of fire all in the mountains around him. Oh, we're not alone. Yeah, man. There are more that are for us than more that are against us. And it's all there. It's just your ability to translate it. And sometimes you got to go past the images because we read over certain things and we already interpret it from what we've been shown. Oh yeah, this is what it looked like. And like, even I'm telling you, the plagues of Egypt, those were beings. That wasn't fire and rain and hail and frogs. That wasn't frogs. Those were beings. You got to look up the word frog and see what it means. And it's amazing, amazing, blown away. I was mentioning the full moon. Today's the full moon. And I'm reading the Bible. I read the King James. You know, it's you could translate those words back to the Greek and Hebrew. That's why I do that. But I'm looking for the moon in there. Like, again, this we're connected to the moon. This was their calendar. This is how they did things based off of, hey, the Sabbath is coming up. We're not going to work. Sabbath is coming up. We're resting. Why did they rest? So they could tap in and meditate and tap in and travel. This is what they were doing. So I'm looking up the words in the Bible, right? What is the word for moon? What is the word for this? What is the word for that? So you got a lot of new moon stuff. The beginning of the month starts at the new moon and moves on. But what about the full moon? That's today. Like, is that in the Bible? And I'm looking for it and I can't find the word full and moon. But I know there's got to be some type of significance, because the different places of the temple were opened. The gates of the temple were opened on certain phases of the moon, certain times of the month. On the 15th of the month, you can come in and lay down an offering, and we'll take it, give it to the priest, and we'll give you something back. Okay. This is how the spirit realm works. This is how because the scriptures tell you that physical temple in Jerusalem, Solomon's temple, Ezekiel's temple, these were diagrams of the spiritual temple. Not just the temple, but the beings that operated in there as well. All of them. There's angels that I'm finding and I'm categorizing them. They're called the openers. You know why? They open the doors of the temple. The word door is portal. Oh, really? Now we're getting cool. It's a door. You open the temple door, so you, in your mind, you just see opening an old door. Come on in, come in. But if that's a spiritual temple, or the word for spiritual, or heaven, spiritual is etheric. That's the word. But heaven is celestial. The book of Hebrews tells you that that's a symbolic reference, a literal story to a spiritual temple. Many different spiritual temples, but we're talking about celestial right now. And the gates were open on certain days. Certain things that happened. The portals were opened. The gates were opened. Let's see. I'm gonna read this here. What I was talking about the new moon just before I go, because I sent it to my wife, because we've been on a road trip this weekend, and I'm just sitting here telling her all this stuff and just sharing with her. And I read this morning, and I was looking for it and did a little reading. So the phrase in the Bible. So the word full moon isn't in the Bible. It's not in there. New moon is. Moons are, right? From one new moon to the next. On the Sabbath, on the new moon, you do this, you do that. But the word in the Bible is in the time appointed. You're reading the Bible, and new moon comes in because in Psalms 81:3, I believe it is, it talks about the new moon, and this is what you do on the new moon. You rest on the new moon, and you tap in for the Sabbath. But it says from one new moon, and then on the time appointed, do this. The word, the time appointed, the appointed time, the word is full moon. It's full moon. On the full moon, do this. But why don't we read full moon in there? Because you might read it, put two and two together, and do what it says to do on the full moon, and therefore get your power back. Like, this stuff was changed for a reason. So people just throw it out the window because it's been changed. Oh, they changed the Bible. Well, just go get the Greek and Hebrew, the original manuscripts. You can look it up yourself. And there's people who have done it. Now there's other versions. Let's just be honest. So like full moon is in maybe like the NIV, they would say full moon. So there's other translations that actually change it for you. But not everything. Trust me, not everything. There's so many that it doesn't. But some of the easier stuff like that. But I study in the word breakdowns for the KJV, because you're getting so much. Because even though the NIV and those other versions will translate it, it may not be translated correctly, or they're translating it because they have to change so many words to actually get a copyright on it to make their version of the Bible. You can't just take that Bible and change 10 words and put your own out. No, you got to change so many that where it passes a percentage for the copyright that you can put your name and your seal and stamp it and sell it to pass copyright. So there's that. But these little things like that are what stick out to me, and they're what keep me up at night. They make me contemplate and think and study and search, and my mind's working, and it's wrestling. That is contemplation. We're all doing that, but for different things. What are the things that excite you? What excites you? He found a cool word in the Bible. You found a word that means this. Wow, it means portal. Like gate means portal. I don't think you're going to find any of the versions that translate that, but that's what the word is. It says it in the Greek and Hebrew. A couple different words, but portal is one of them. I like portal. Portal to the paranormal, hearing voices speaking to me when spirit touches a mortal. Listen, the creativity, the inspiration, because you watch those movies like Lord of the Rings and something in you shifts in your heart, in your imagination as a kid, and you want it to be real. Oh, it's not. Be cool if it was. Yeah, well, it's not, man. Watching Avatar, we just went and rode the Avatar ride at Disney, and it's fun. You're on the back of this dragon, whatever they're called, being, and you're connecting with it, and you got to match with your DNA with it, and you're flying and traveling, and it feels real, and you get off and you're like, oh, this ain't real. I mean, that happened for so many people watching the first Avatar movie that came out. Like, they went and watched it, and it happened because they said depression rates went up after people watched Avatar and had this magical spiritual people that loved and reconciled, and it was like only good in them. You know, they had their own thing going on, but people felt depressed when it was over, and I kind of felt a little bit of that too. Like, I went and watched it during this awakening when this stuff was becoming real, but you take so much more away from it, like the spirituality that these guys had. Didn't you find out, hold on, it is real, but maybe by a different name. Avatars are real. Like, you are an avatar. Jesus was an avatar. Not just the great sages and great teachers, but everything and everyone is an avatar. There's a higher version, there's at least a consciousness of what you really are. You're not this flesh, this is temporary. But the real you that's even entertaining, consciously moving this meat suit, you got the same thing. But you're looking at Native American culture, which that they were definitely connected to. Even Indian culture, of the people of India, their spirituality, they're doing like mudras and yoga poses to move energy and to connect with the source energy from the tree of life that is literally animating all life in their world. These little things, you wish it was real, but it's not. And then you read the Bible and it's, oh, there's some cool stuff, but then hold on, start breaking down these words. The tree of life that animates all life, the magic, the mystery, the spirituality, the angels, all of it's in there. And the trick was to convince you, like she said at the beginning, to give you a different identity, to make you feel less than. Oh yeah, that's not real, man. This is it's not the way to do it. Oh man, it feels right. It's not. And the more you read and read and read, you're finding all of this stuff. Again, Lord of the Rings, Avatar. You're finding how it's connected to India, the Bible, connected to India, the practices, the fasting, the waking up at 3 a.m. and go outside and pray for the watches of the Lord. What is that? What is the watches of the Lord? certain times of the month that you stay up all night to pray because the veil in between the two worlds is very thin. So you make sure you take advantage of it to offer your prayers, to make sure you search your heart and mind, that when those ripples come, when those raindrop beings come, or whatever that is, that bring you a gift with them, that bring you a reward, because you're open, because you care. Nobody cares. People don't care. But the more that you put it out there, people are starting to. What keeps you up at night? Those raindrops that she's talking about, I can't wait to watch it, because that does keep me up at night. The word study on the plagues of Exodus. It was a plague of Egypt for those people, but Moses was working with them and said, hey, let's go pay him a visit. Okay, well, Moses, who are you to pay him a visit? Well, I'm clean, I'm contrite, I've committed my ways unto the Lord, and I'm friends with these guys. I care about them. I talk to them. So if I ask a favor, I need you to do this, to prove this, to prove that the way is love, that the way is righteousness. So it's a hard lesson taught in that story, but read it slow. Read it slow. Any of it, read slow. Don't breeze by any of that stuff. You'll find out so much. And everybody plays a role in that. Not just one person, not just the people that you look up to teach it to you, but there's something that is hidden just for you. You have a piece of that you're a beautiful piece of the body. You're a beautiful piece of the diamond, a spectrum. When light hits you, it shines a certain way. It's a color that it's an expression that only you can do. You got to do it. We need it. The collective needs it. You need it. So you're not a passerby. You're not a spectator. None of you are. Get in the game. Get your feet wet. Because there's something privy to you that's not privy to me. It's not. Nobody else. This is your lot. This is why you were created, to do it. To speak your truth, to live your truth, and to change the frequency of the planet. To bring love back. To bring forgiveness back. Creativity back. All of it. To tell people that when they watch Lord of the Rings, hey, that's more real than you think. To do that. And see what happens to people. Most people don't care. Oh, Lord of the Rings is real. You're crazy, dude. The Bible is Lord of the Rings? Oh my God. Yeah. Do you know what Gollum is? Gollum? He's in Lord of the Rings. The little creature. Smeagol? He's a Gollum. His name's Gollum. Do you know what a Gollum is? From Jewish mysticism? From the people that have these books and these spiritual technologies that wrote the Bible and kept the Bible and learned from the Bible? Jewish mystics? A golem is a creature that's created out of mud, or a creature created out of clay, like a toy or a model or something of a being, a humanoid, and then they do a magical spell. They write the magical name of God and of life across its forehead, and they program it and they tell it what to do and what it's going to do, and then they write the last letter, the Hebrew magical letter. They write the last letter, and when they do, of life, it comes to life, and it's able to do things. It's able to build. It's able to carry large amounts of wood and to work almost as a subservient being, like some type of slave. Who did they learn that from? And it's called a golem. It's Jewish mysticism. And when you erase the letter off of their head, it shuts down like a robot, programmed with artificial life. It doesn't feel. It doesn't have feelings or emotions. People that were made out of the mud, out of dirt. Does that sound familiar? Well, definitely you have Gollum, that's his name. You also have beings that were like made out of the mud for war in Lord of the Rings. Orcs, the Orcai, were making all types of mud people and doing magic to animate them and bring them to life to come and fight. But you, or at least who you think you are, which is probably not you, you may be mixed with it. You may be mixed with it if you care. You may be mixed. You're not only this. A person of the mud, a person of the dirt that came out of the dirt, and breath was breathed, magic in life in your nostrils, in your lungs, that animated you. And there were beings biblically that were animated and programmed and designed to do certain things, and that's all they did. Builders, climbers, cutters, whatever. Biblically, you begin to look that up and look up the names of these beings and these people that were chopping wood all day, and that's what their name. Their name is what their character traits and what they're programmed to do. That's why God has many names. He's not just a lover. He's not just a fighter. He's not just a strong tower. He has many names and wears many hats, but there are certain beings that only do this. They only chop wood. They only dig holes. And these beings begin to mix. Listen, we're going to stop. We're going to stop. I've been talking about this. I'm going to keep talking about it, but I'm ready to start putting some presentations together for you guys and some scripture verses and some pictures and to really take this to the next level. I can talk about it all I want, but I want to give you the references. I want to show you their Hebrew names. I want to show you what their names mean. Not only their names, but also where they're from. Because when you look up their name and then where they're from, it tells a story. It is a being created from the light that is from the land of pleasantness, and it's in their name. It's a king, a malak, Mel, Chezedek, a Mel means king, a malak, Mel, Ches, a Dek, king of peace, who was from the land of Shalom. A king of peace, who was from the place of peace, who had no beginning nor end, and he was a malak. Well, go open your Bible and look at the other kings. The Mels, the Bels, the Ras, the Ons, the Urs, the As, the Els, the Elohim, the Micah becoming Michael, the Rapha becoming Raphael, the Uris or Uriah, Uri becoming Uriah, and then Uri becoming Uriel. This is all in there, and it's not just what they showed us, Charleston Heston, in the movie. Like, it's not that. It's more like Lord of the Rings. It is more like Lord of the Rings. Actually, J.R. Tolkien interpreted a book of the Bible. Not in the one we have. Well, you may have it. It is a popular version. J.R. Tolkien interpreted the book of Jonah. The book of Jonah. And listen, the original version that he wrote, Jonah doesn't get eaten by a fish. He's breaking down the words and doing the interpretation and telling you what it is. Jonah doesn't get eaten by a fish or swallowed by a whale. He gets taken to the underworld by these, what the scripture says. It says some type of not leeches, but branches that come up and pull him down and take him on a journey to the underworld. And Tolkien, when he reads it, he's like, oh, this is Atlantis. This is the great city. It says he was taken and shown the great city. They let Tolkien get a hold of it, and they wanted him to actually interpret it for the Jerusalem Bible. You can find this online. You can find the text. They want you to pay for the unedited version, because it's just with his publication. But the edited version, it took a lot of those words out. They highly edited it. And it's funny because it's like they wanted him to do more, but he was so busy. They're like, can you do more? Like, can you do more of these? But he said he was busy. Like, maybe it's because he edited it and you guys took out the words that he said, oh, this is definitely talking about Atlantis. This is definitely talking about a solar boat that sets sail and it goes between the worlds. This is from Egypt. This is from the Chaldeans. All of the neighboring cultures believed in this. Oh, not us. This is going to be a fish for us. We're going to change it to a fish. It doesn't say fish. Boom. There you go. Talking about these interpretations and connections to Lord of the Rings or whatever. Tolkien did it. So it's okay. You won't let me interpret that. Let me do my own interpretation and put it out in a movie called The Lord of the Rings. Sauron wanted to be the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is Saturn. Lord of the Rings, the ruler of the rings, to collect them all, Saturn. Look it up. Hope y'all have enjoyed this conversation. We get deep, man. We get really deep. Gonna keep getting deep. But I pray that I can put this with animation and all of my study and all, because I got all the notes. So it's coming soon. We'll talk about it night and day so you can go and research it as well. But I want it to go to the next level. So I'm gonna need help on making it simple. I'm gonna need help in camping there. Because I want to be like, just mention it and keep going. Like, hold on, we gotta tarry. We gotta hang out a little bit. We gotta give you some pointers and some references. And quite frankly, I haven't been good at that. So I'm praying about that I would be. That I get upgraded in that area. The mystery made simple for the people that just need some of it sprinkled here and there. It's sprinkled here and there in everything. It's sprinkled here and there in church. It's sprinkled here and there in the Lord of the Rings. But to tell it like it is, connected. So thank y'all for hanging out. I enjoyed this episode. I hope that you did as well. I want to say a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters, man. Everybody who has partnered with me financially to keep doing what I'm doing. And I do this to support my family, and I'm able to study, like to give days, full days, weeks of studying, weeks of tapping in. And I couldn't do that without your help. So when I say thank you, I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. This is what I've been put here to do. And when you sow into that, if there's anything good that's coming from this, if there's anybody who's been touched, if anybody's been helped, if there's anybody who feels less marginalized from listening to these podcasts, from connecting with us on Thursday nights, from doing breath work and praying with us, but knowing that somebody cares, that's not going to judge them because they're different or they think outside the box. Listen, if there are any blessings from that, and you partner with this financially, or if you share this, whatever it is, in any shape or form, you're a partaker in that. You share in that. You're an enabler, and I'm able to do it because of you. So thank you for that so much. The Bible says that those who greet a prophet and welcome a prophet, who you bring a prophet, even a glass of water, a cup of water, you take care of it, that you will receive and partake in a prophet's reward. What is it? What do you want? What do you want? What did you come to a prophet? What did the prophet say? What do you want? Do you need me to pray for you? No, I can. Do you need me to lay hands? No, I can. Do you need me to vocalize it? No, I can. What do you want? It is you. God is searching your heart, not me. God knows your intentions, not me. Make your petitions known before Him. These are alms. This is not a small thing. When you're partnering, seeing that this is good ground to sow a seed into. When you put a seed into something, you better respect the harvest. I don't care what the seed is. Whatever you put in is gonna come back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It's gonna continue to multiply and continue to give. Such is what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you. Some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. Well, it's been a while since I did a podcast, so probably a little bit longer than that. But the latest patrons since I've done a formal podcast. Most of them have just been on the fly Q&As. But I'm going to read those names real quick. Y'all, it's a lot of names. There's a lot of names. So I'm going to have to run through these because there's so many. If you want to support, go to patreon.com/truthseeker. There you get access to my entire discography of music, everything I've put out there. My book is there. My guided meditations are there at a certain tier. You get access to our Thursday night School of the Mystics and the Hangouts on Thursday nights. Sunday morning, man, this past Sunday morning was amazing. It's our Hangouts, man. It's our tribe. So any level of giving, go check it out. There's so much there. And I'm going to say thank you to these people here. Thank you to Natalie Goodrow. Thank you, Natalie. Shout out to Resonate. Thank you for coming on, Resonate. Thank you so much. Greta Robardi. Probably messed it up, but thank you. Great to meet you. Great to have you. Andy Duggan. Shout out, brother. Bless. Shalom. Great to have you, man. It was great to meet you too. Love you, bro. Mind Hack. Thanks for coming on. Phil E. Bush. That's my brother, y'all. It's a good friend of mine. Phil, shout out, man. Thanks for coming on. Anita Rankin, thank you for coming on, Anita. Brian Epperson, shalom, welcome. Ashley, thanks for coming on, Ashley. Ratchet, Bucks, Shotty, salute, man. Thanks for coming on. Great interacting with you in Messenger. Ashley, 1111, welcome. Great to have you. And there's another Ashley. Great to have you as well. Welcome. Paul Rizzo. Are you any connection to Frank Rizzo? I don't know. Great to have you, man. Welcome. David, all love. He said, listen, it's all love. Ain't no hate, all love. Welcome. Jason Rodriguez. Welcome, Jason. Salute, man. Shalom. Dan Savrana. Great to have you. Really great to have you. You shared so much, even with the moon and the different phases that we were hanging out with, talking about on the School of the Mystics, and you can hear my intrigue with it. So thank you for being you. Thank you for partnering, and it's great to have you, man. I look forward to connecting with you much more. Jackie Dowling. Welcome, Jackie. Great to have you. Nathan Mark Mason. Shout out. Shalom. Welcome, bro. Good to have you. Allison Champney. Hey, how are you? Welcome. Jacqueline Hicks. Welcome, Jacqueline. Good to have you as well. Kenny. Just Kenny. Welcome, Kenny. What's up, man? Lucy. Welcome, Lucy. Good to have you too. Kimberly Slice. Welcome, Kimberly. Kelly Benson. Welcome, Kelly. Good to have you here. Laura Carr. What's up, my friend? Good to have you too. EA Francis. Welcome, EA. Good to have you. Laura Wallace. Welcome, Laura. Peace. Tamara Daughtry. Welcome. Good to have you too. Megan Elford. Hi, how are you? Good to have you. Thanks for partnering. Paula Denise. Great to have you, Paula. Welcome. Jessica Burchard. Welcome. Good to have you too. David Ray. What's up, David? Welcome, bro. Stephen McIntyre. Welcome. Good to have you. Tracy Johnson. Hey, Tracy, what it do? Jonathan and Megan Ball. Good to have you guys for sure. Thanks for tapping in. Sarah. Welcome. How are you, Sarah? Good to have you. Good to have you. Jen and Ken. What's up? That's funny, Jen and Ken. And I know it rhymes, right? Jen and Ken. But I put out a song called Scars. And it was my first song where I'm like writing a story of other people in this story. And I wrote about a boy and girl, two lovers that come together in their youth by the name of Ken and Jen. Is it prophetically about you guys? Go listen. It's pretty cool. It's called Scars. Ken and Jen. Amber Heard. What's up, Amber? Great to have you. Good to meet you, my friend. Last but not least, Zachary Carroll. Those are the names in the last month or two. Man, we're at like an all-time high. I wanted to put out there that we just hit 200 patrons. 200 people linking in monthly. Man, blown away. When I first signed up for this platform in 2016, they tell you to make goals. Like at 100 people, what would you do? And put it out there so people are like, hey, at 100 patrons, we'll do this. 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000, right? So at 200 patrons, I said, you know what? If we get 200 patrons, we'll do a concert. We'll do an online concert and take requests, and whoever is signed up, they can hang out and I'll perform. I'll rap. I'll do my thing. So we're going to do that. June the 18th, I believe it is. And if you're coming after or before, whatever, this will be available too. That concert, I'm going to record it and I'm going to have it for later playback, and may have a couple friends with me. Think about reaching out to a couple people that I have songs with and let them do some of their stuff. But we'll do a live stream that's going to be just privy to those of you who support on Patreon. Make sure you check it out. It's going to be fun. But with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. It was really good. Really good. Make sure you go watch that film. I call it a documentary. It's a documentary presentation, but it's a film. Like, it's a legit, real deal film. I don't think many people spend that much money on documentaries. Like, it's a film. I don't want to undermine it. It's a film and shot in documentary style. Watch the trailer, and after hearing this, I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait. Shalom, everybody. We'll do it again very soon. Peace.
So much
episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the Truth Seeker podcast, head over to truthseeker.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/truthseeker.